it's actually kind of nice being able to share the biggest passion of my life, one of them, I should say. So to start off, I'm not going to go too far into a history lesson. Godzilla is the brainchild of a group of gentlemen who worked for a movie company in Japan called Toho Studios. These three men are Ishiro Honda, Iji Tsuburaya, and Tomoyuki Tanaka. These three gentlemen had come up with this idea that, we have to find something that is allegorical of like this destructive force that we humans have stumbled upon. It was between summer of 1952 and summer of 1954. And there was a tuna fish ship by the name of the Lucky Dragon No. 5, and they were right off of the Bikini Atoll, which is it was off the coast of Japan. I want to say like roughly 30 to 50 miles off the coast. Got a little too close to an area where we Americans were testing our bombs, because we were testing, obviously, atomic bombs, hydrogen bombs. I think it were just strictly hydrogen bombs. We were testing these weapons off of the coast of Japan and near the Philippines. Ship got in the blast zone, the radiation zone, and every fisherman on board was poisoned. After this incident, the three brainchildren of Godzilla came together and said, all right, we have this idea. So the events that happened led these three gentlemen to create Godzilla, and what we know as Godzilla today, a giant radioactive fire-breathing dinosaur slash he's a radiated dinosaur. Gareth Edwards, as we've already said, is a fan of these series, and Godzilla is a prime example of it. I recently got the chance to show David here the original 1954 Japanese Godzilla film. And it is, again, to me, probably one of the single greatest pieces of cinema ever created. In the sense of defending Gareth Edwards, you can tell that he is a fan of this original movie, because my issue with this 2014 Godzilla is that critically it was given wonderful reviews. Anywhere between it ranged from 7 out of 10, and I base this off of any website that did out of 10 scale. Yeah. And on average, Godzilla got between a 7 and an 8, which is really good critically. That's not the best, but really it's a passing grade. It's decent, yeah. So. Like Star Wars, like this new trilogy, like the new trilogy series, and hence why we defended The Last Jedi. It was a lot of fans that criticized this movie, and their defenses are quite lame, and I'm going to tell you why. And there's one good defense that you and I did. We did talk about. Bryan Cranston, from the beginning of this movie, he is established as like one of the main, if not the main character of the movie. Like the way that the story is portrayed. He is the scientist that works in Japan with his wife at a nuclear power plant. He has the most motive to want to... Yeah, he has the most motive to what happens. But there's a scene where he loses his wife to one of these monsters attacking the nuclear power plant. Yeah. And so he establishes this idea that, the media in the movie covers up this nuclear meltdown as like a natural disaster or a man-made failure. There's an organization called Monarch in this new MonsterVerse. I could go into the MonsterVerse, but we're not going to... Yeah, that's defending Gareth Edwards. Yeah. So he establishes that this character is the one that knows everything that's going on, that a monster is causing this. This is not something natural in the sense that a man-made issue caused this, or a typhoon, as he like quoted in the movie so eloquently, and then killing him off in the first act. Yeah, they establish him as being the guy to release this monster information to the world. He's the one that spilled the beans and was like, these are monsters. Like, what you are hiding from the world could also destroy it. Have an essential character like that build up within the first 30 minutes of the movie just to be killed off. It was a waste. And nothing against Aaron Taylor Johnson, because I like him as an actor. He's a great actor. But they did not write him or set him up good in this movie, in my point of view. And again, I'm just a casual fan here. I'm not as diehard fan as him. I'm just a casual fan. And to me, it just took me out of the movie a bit. And I even told him as we were watching, I was like, I was really into this until now when they killed him off, because I was not interested in the two other leads that we had in here, and then their subplot of their little love story subplot, which I understand because we watched the first Godzilla, that
it did have that subplot
yes.
of a love story. It did.
Godzilla runs off of this. The way I see it, it runs off of 3 different subplots. The original movie has like 3 different plots all put into one. You have Godzilla himself destroying the city. The classic man in the rubber suit stomping through the city, picking up a train by the robotic head and then throwing it to the ground. You have the additional subplot of the military planning and how the government and how politics play a role in natural disasters. So they have no idea how to stop Godzilla, and so that plan of like, well, what can we do? And then which leads to the drastic measures of using another weapon just as devastating as a nuclear weapon. And the subplot with the romance, which, David just tapped in on.
Yeah.
So in the original Godzilla movie, the scientist, Dr. Serizawa, is responsible for creating a weapon called the Oxygen Destroyer. In which, it's funny how it was even mentioned in this Godzilla movie, too.
I caught that. I was like, oh, yeah.
Dr. Serizawa creates this Oxygen Destroyer as an experiment, and then when the government finds out that it has the ability to kill off Godzilla, they essentially pressure him to use this weapon, and like, oh, you have to kill this thing because the world will perish if you don't do this. Like almost like mirror imaging of the Dr. Serizawa that was portrayed wonderfully by Ken Watanabe. That Dr. Serizawa and the Dr. Serizawa of 1954's film, they shared that mindset of, well, this is a very destructive force, and it's much better if we go a different route. But Dr. Serizawa makes the ultimate sacrifice, and while he releases the Oxygen Destroyer on the original Godzilla, he kills himself. Because he doesn't want that information being brought to the world, because he knows that if I unleash this weapon for all to see, it would be used for bad. So it's that scientist that has that mindset of, I know what kind of capability this power has of destroying something. Little mirror imaging with Dr. Serizawa in this new Godzilla film where he wants to avoid weapons at all costs. Yeah. You're just like, watch. No. Godzilla is here to defend us.
Just let them fight.
Just let them fight. I love that fight.
Yeah, the line that just let them fight.
Yeah, the line is perfect. And another big defense in these movies is that a lot of fans have been arguing that this new MonsterVerse is too environmentally friendly and that it's promoting a sense of I actually heard a fan call these new movies liberal environment bullcrap. And if you haven't heard me the last few minutes, this original Godzilla movie was an allegory of nature being smarter than people think. Godzilla is an allegory of why we don't fuck with nature. Gareth Edwards had his wonderful view and his ability to use a pan shot as
he does it so beautiful
as a way of reminding people. So you see in this Godzilla movie the pan
so
shot
immersive
of all the destruction that these monsters causes, all the destruction that Godzilla and the enemy in this movie, the Muto. All like the fighting scenes. He also has this wonderful imagery of seeing the monsters through the human's point of view.
I love that. That's what I love that he does, and that's what I was telling you as we were watching that. That's something that really took me into the movie.
You're right next to the soldiers as they're shooting at Godzilla or the Muto. You're one of the soldiers descending with the Halo mission.
Yep.
And the mask, and you hear the breathing and the enclosed vision, so you don't see everything.
Seeing like a little bit of Godzilla's mouth open, a little bit of his bicep, just like a little bit like you're seeing from like your kind of like eyes like this. That's something I really love, and it makes you feel so much into it, and so like, I feel like I'm really right here watching Godzilla. And that leads to something that me and you both really love about this, that me and you both highly agree on, that everyone hates on, that apparently what I've seen a whole bunch of people hate on it. He obviously knows a lot of people hate on this, that we both can't understand why. Less is more.
Oh, the concept of less is more. The less that you have something, the more valuable it's going to end up playing out.
The more the payoff it is.
In this new Godzilla movie, it's a little over 2 hours long. Godzilla has only been in the movie for relatively 15 to 20 minutes. I can't remember the exact timing of it.
Something, 20, 15.
And that's where a lot of the fans and even like the diehard fans had an issue with that, because Gareth Edwards, being a fan of the original movie, understands the magic of that concept. Less is more. Scenes that Godzilla are in make the whole 2 hours worth it. The fight scenes between Godzilla and the Mutos. What I told you, I still get the spine tingles when Godzilla does his reveal in Honolulu at the airport. His foot just coming down and boom. Another great reference to the original, because that's exactly how the original movie starts. It's Godzilla stomp. And then in big Japanese lettering, it's just Gojira. Just comes right at the screen and hits you. Yes, the effect of less is more, because Godzilla feels special in this.
He does. It feels special. Like it's earned. It's something that has to be earned.
Being a franchise, a movie franchise, as long as Godzilla has had, 30 plus movies, and over almost 70 years being around. Godzilla just celebrated its 66th. Godzilla just had his 66th birthday. Happy belated, buddy.
Happy belated.
Having so much out and having all these movies and this legacy, he almost, as I explained, he's almost become a gimmick in a way. Everybody knows what Godzilla is. Everybody knows that he's just a big T-Rex with dorsal fins on his back and has the ability to breathe this fire. But this movie, Gareth Edwards' direction, made Godzilla feel like the main event, the attraction. Like, this is the reason you came for the movie. Whether you're not seeing him the whole time,
his presence
is felt throughout the entire thing. His ability to show that Godzilla is the king of the monsters.
Oh, yeah.
Loving Godzilla as much as I have even gone to the extent of studying Godzilla fighting style. Yes, I am that big of a loser. Sorry, Dad. Godzilla uses the atomic fire breath, which everybody knows. That's, Godzilla has that ability to breathe fire.
Yeah.
It's actually a radioactive breath that has the ability to combust upon meeting oxygen particles.
Yeah.
Told you I'm a loser. Godzilla uses, and I was explaining to David, that for Godzilla having that atomic breath his entire length and his entire existence, it felt like a gimmick for a while. So this movie coming out, and then you only see Godzilla use it twice. The ways that he did it, the build-up where you see his dorsal fins light up one by one from the bottom of his tail all the way up his spine, like that build-up.
They leave you waiting for
like
it.
that. You feel that impact, and then when it happens, it was so worth it. And then the kiss of death scene, rips the Muto's jaw open, and then
even as a casual Godzilla fan, I felt that excitement that you were talking about and feeling in both those scenes. Like, as it's building, it's like, oh shit, it's gonna come. Oh, it's gonna come. It's like sex. It's like when you're having sex and you're about to, you're going, and it's like, I'm about to come. Like, I'm about to come, baby. I'm about to go. And then finally you just go. Great.
Sex is great. There's the scene where the male Muto is flying in on his wings. And you see the scene where Godzilla looks at him and he goes, come on. He's like, I want you to, like...
It's like the Joker.
Just like the Joker in 2000. Come on, I want you to hit me. I want you to hit me.
Yeah.
And this Muto, and then out of nowhere, you see Godzilla's tail whip. Boom! And then impales him into the building. In the theaters, I saw that happen. Like, as soon as I saw Godzilla give him that squint, I'm like, I actually said out loud, he's going to tail whip him.
Yeah.
And I remember a few faces turned and looked back at me. And I like to sit in the back. I'm sitting in the back here, and these people are like, they look back at me I'm like, I'm anticipating it. And I took the time to be like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to say that out loud. And he tail whips him. We'll never forget my pure joy. Like, the 3-year-old me that first saw Godzilla, like, was brought back to life, was all smiles, and I was just like,
fist pumping in the air. I'm like, fuck yes. And
I said it as quietly as I could, but I'll never forget all the faces that were like looking back at me, and they're like, whoa, this kid really knows what he's talking about. I don't have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously the fighting's like it you can tell that somebody studied Godzilla movies enough.
You tell they know what they're doing.
To know what they were doing. The Easter eggs that were hidden in this movie. Beginning of the movie, I pointed out to you, and there's a poster in the classroom where young Ford is at, and it's Mothra. It's Mothra's wing design on an actual moth.
Yeah.
So you see that little nod. It's like, oh, it's Mothra. Pointed out so much, but like on the filing cabinet in the background was a 3-headed dragon, which is King Ghidorah, which is one of Godzilla's most formidable enemies. And then that poster I pointed out, it actually shows the Muto scene where they're kissing. It like literally foreshadows the events that happen later in the movie.
The little things.
It's the little things in these movies that
that matter the most.
And obviously really that all comes from the direction of, who is directing this movie, how it's supposed to play out. And Gareth Edwards had that image, and he played that. Which leads to how this movie is so significant to this MonsterVerse. Cinema nowadays is all about universes.
Yeah,
it's all about Marvel, the Star Wars universe. DC has their own universe. 14 Godzilla movie sets up all of these setups. So Kong Skull Island is the second movie into this MonsterVerse. 2 years ago, 2019's Godzilla King of the Monsters is the third rendition. Just 2.5 months away from now, Godzilla vs. Kong rematch, 59 years in the making, because the original Godzilla vs. King Kong was released in 1962. This whole MonsterVerse is based on the premise that these monsters, they're not so different from humans, being united, being together.
They put characterization to actually
they put humanity in Godzilla.
Yeah, they made him like a person, his own kind of personality.
He's not a monster. He's an actual important character.
Even I feel like they even did it to the I can't remember the villain's name in
Muto.
They even did it to Muto. Like stuff they do to them, they give them these little characterizations. They make him a little scared when he sees Godzilla and sees how much bigger Godzilla is. He looks at him like, oh shit! Like he goes like, oh shit, you're bigger. Just little characterizations like that. And like Godzilla when he's walking away, or when he looks at Ford. Or just stuff like that.
You feel that passion.
You feel that passion. You feel that humanity. In them.
Or the Muto, because it's one female and one male. The scene where they do the little nuzzle.
Yeah.
That's like, that goes to
love.
It's romance.
Yeah. One thing that Gareth Edwards is so good in, that he does good in both with the Star Wars and in Godzilla, is that dark, unsettling kind of dread, that tone of dread and anticipation, where you're just like,
another nod
coming.
To the original film.
Exactly.
Even depressing. It's supposed to be scary and depressing. Yeah. Gareth Edwards did such a wonderful job, because you only see Godzilla one time in the sunlight.
At the ending,
black, like
it's like Jaws.
The scene where all the soldiers are coming in on the Halo drop. They look like they're going into hell.
Yeah, that's what we said. It looks like hell.
It looks like hell.
It looks like hell, and you're seeing these monsters fighting at each other to fire, and it's like, oh, it is good. You only see parts of Godzilla. We see his mouth quick, see his eyes, see his chest, and I love that. You don't need to see all of them. That's what makes it scarier, is going back to the less is more stuff. Let's go look back at Jaws. What made Jaws so successful and so terrifying that everyone loved is that
first off, the musical,
the music. Yes,
of course,
the music is is that the fact that it's terrifying because we don't see Jaws, we don't see
him until
see the aftermath
later in the film.
Later in the film, the final act, we always see is the aftermath. What he does, we just see. Oh, he tore apart this boat. Oh, he tore apart that human.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what we see with Godzilla. We see, oh shit, that building's destroyed. Oh shit, that tail just knocked that down. We don't see him as much because it's supposed to be frightening.
The original Godzilla movie, the fans that argue that this movie doesn't have enough monster action.
The original has a lot of
for the time that it was given. Yeah. Everybody was complaining that there wasn't enough. It was all like those subplots that ruined.
Is that the
original Godzilla movie? Godzilla's only in the film for not even 15 minutes of the original hour and a half long film.
We pointed out when we first watched it originally, we pointed out like he's hardly in it.
He's hardly in it. His presence is always there. Just another example of Gareth Edwards, but directing. No matter what anybody else says, Mr. Edwards,
we salute you, my man. We salute you. Gareth Edwards, this is a video of us saying how much we actually do appreciate Gareth Edwards as a filmmaker. He's a great filmmaker. He's a passionate filmmaker, passionate about what he loves. Yeah, of course, some stuff don't work out, some of the stuff, but hey, that's every director. But at the end of it, the dude is a passionate, full-on Star Wars fan. He shows that in Rogue One.
And just as passionate when it comes to my man, Godzilla.
Yeah. Even more stuff in Rogue One, just that includes what he does. He puts how he puts in Tarkin in there. And he's just a great director for dread and for just stuff for you to anticipate. He's a good fan of the properties that he works on and franchise. He does his research, obviously. He is a great filmmaker when you give him the right stuff, give him the right passion projects, and he's a great filmmaker. And both feel that he's been kind of underlooked. And, you know, the studio screwed him over, the fans kind of screwed him over, and we're kind of just here kind of putting some positivity for Gareth Edwards. So, Gareth Edwards, you're probably not watching this YouTube channel. You're probably not, but if you are, man, thank you.
Thanks for wasting your time on us.
Thanks for wasting your time. Thank you. We appreciate it. Now, guys, thank you again for watching. That was our second video, and in defense of, we definitely going to have some more coming out here coming soon. Alec is definitely going to be showing up on my channel a lot more now. It's a really good time having him on my channel. It's a good time. Yeah, of course.
I like to embarrass myself for the world to see.
Oh, yeah, that's what YouTube's for. Guys again for watching. Alec, tell them where they can find you at.
Well, my podcast is still in the creations, but I have my launching coming out real soon off of Anchor. My podcast is called Realm of Rage and Rut, where I talk about all things monster movies, professional wrestling, Star Wars, and pretty much anything else that keeps me from putting a bullet in my head. Sorry to sound so morbid, but that's what gets people to listen nowadays. When I launch it out, I'll send him the link. He'll provide it. We'll be good to go.
Thank you guys again for watching. Make sure you guys give my video a like and subscribe to my channel.
Like and subscribe. Yeah. It'll help him out. It'll help me out. It'll help us out.
It'll help the world out.
It'll help the world.
The world will be back at peace if you just subscribe to my channel and give this a like. There'll be no more fighting. Everyone will be friends again. Subscribe to my channel. Please. Thank you guys again for watching, and then we'll see you guys next time.